Today is Valentine's Day for Sean. It is also the saddest day of his life. The doctor told him his heart failed. Technically, he was dead for 47 seconds until they resuscitated him. This was due to an overdose. Sean fell victim to the peer pressures of a woman he sought after. He wanted so desperately to please her that he violated the very essence of who he was. They were both in a luxurious hotel room. The color of the decor in the room was white on white on white. Everything was elegant. For color contrast, Sean hand sprinkled hundreds of deep red rose petals everywhere. He staged candles, lined the room with bouquets of flowers as well as small statues made of chocolate. It was a sight to see. This was a Valentine's Day surprise a woman would dream of. Mona was pleased. She didn't expect this. Sean had invited her to do a photo shoot. The scenery of Sean's photo shoots were always pleasant, but this scene was above and beyond. Sean didn't hold back. His hopes and prayers was that after the photo shoot, Mona would finally allow him to make her moan. To get the party started, Mona pulled out her bag of goodies. The rapper Kodak Black once said in a song, "I knew that perk was fake, but I still ate it 'cause I'm a gremlin." Sean embodied the gremlin persona when Mona handed him those pills. He ate them because, why not? The two of them were gonna finally have a moment. Street pills are unpredictable. Within the same handful of pills, each one is inconsistently potent. Sean and Mona ate from the same batch. Her pill was fine. His pill was laced. After swallowing their pills, Mona stepped into the bathroom to change clothes. Sean was out in the room adjusting his camera, preparing it to snap photos. Mona was in the midst of telling Sean about how excited she was that Draco Drum, a famous rapper, was in town shooting a music video. Through the closed door of the bathroom, Mona heard a loud thud. Kadoosh! Sean's $15,000 camera dropped from his hand straight onto the floor, cracking the lens. The room around him spun in circles faster than a merry-go-round. His vision shrunk from a wide view down to a peephole and finally faded to black until Sean couldn't see anything. His consciousness jittered as the floor forcefully smacked against the back of his head. Sean had fallen over from where he had stood. He did not feel any pain. From his perspective,
He had plopped down onto a bed full of plush pillows.
Meanwhile, Mona was in a panic. She is shoving, pulling, and pushing on his body. She screams at Sean. She smacks him in the face. She begged him to stay up, stay up.
Sean, from a distance, can hear commotion. He can hear noise, but it's so far away. What is that?
That's the sound of Sean's troubled breathing. It sounded as if he was snoring, but something was off about it. Mona tries to keep him up. "Keep your eyes open. Stay up, she yells. Tears pour down her face because she knows Sean is having an overdose. He continues to struggle to breathe.
Sean feels nothing as Mona nudges his body violently.
Mona just came back from the bathroom and dumps a cup of water onto Sean's face. "Don't sleep, stay with me, don't sleep, stay up, she yells. Sean's troubled breathing slows down. His heart rate falls, his muscles limp, his eyes stare unfocused. Ba 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 ba. There is a knock on the hotel door. Mona jumps to her feet and sprints towards it.
Sean feels so warm. He's going to sleep now.
47 seconds later. That was the sound of the first electrical pulse paramedics sent through his body. Paramedics had injected naloxone into Sean's body to counteract and nullify the overdose. To get the naloxone flowing, they needed to resuscitate his heart. "Clear!" one of them yelled. The second electrical pulse of the defibrillator was the jolt needed to jumpstart Sean's heart. That was the first gasp Sean took immediately after. Sean's vision clears to see a pair of paramedics standing over top of him. "Breathe, breathe," they instructed him. "Just breathe." Sean struggles to breathe as he clambers back to life. His lungs are tired. They feel so heavy. Without the help of paramedics forcing air into his lungs with their breathing apparatus, Sean would have never mustered the strength on his own. He would have suffocated. Sean is delirious. He cannot form a cohesive thought. The paramedics question him. They ask him what his name was. It took Sean a minute to understand that he understood the question. Sean was halfway to the hospital in the back of the ambulance when he finally remembered that his name was Sean. The overdose he had just experienced was sobering. Sean was a squeaky clean type of guy. He had never taken illegal drugs ever, not even a single sip of alcohol. He was a square with sharp edges, never deviating from a drug-free, alcohol-free lifestyle. The first time he deviated from his principles, pretended to be a pill-popping gremlin, he almost died. Near-death experiences have a tendency to put things into perspective. It causes a person to reorder their values, put first things first, prioritize. Sean, with his second chance at life, realized that his priorities were out of whack. Mona had become his top priority. He had been a simp. Before Sean ever met Mona, he was a devout follower of the teachings of men such as Alpha Male Strategies, Steph is Cold, and Kevin Samuels, to name a few. Their doctrine resonated with him. Sean was a man on his purpose, a man who understood female nature. Sean was neither red pill, blue pill, or purple pill. Sean was just Sean. He picked and plucked individual teachings to incorporate into his life. Sean's face was never attractive to women, but his body. His body was something he could work on, and so he did. Sean lifted weights and stayed in shape. His craft was something that he could develop also, and so Sean did. He focused on his career as a photographer and videographer. This was the centralizing purpose in his thoughts. Every waking hour when not eating or working out, Sean was physically at recording studios, networking with musicians. He had built a name for himself as the top visualizer in his city. If a rapper needed a music video, album cover, or photo shoot, Sean was the go-to guy. He commanded top dollar for his work. With his purpose front and center, Sean transformed himself into a high-valued man. Sean literally picked himself up by the bootstraps. He had become a true alpha male, or so he thought. That is, until he met Mona and overdosed. Mona was a struggle rapper, a wannabe celebrity. She struggled to get her career off the ground. From the outside looking in, it appeared as if Mona was successful, but that was far from the truth. She was born rich. Her father made his money in finance. Armed with her daddy's credit card, Mona could have and do whatever she wanted, whenever she wanted. Mona purchased expensive things and indulged in expensive drugs. Sean wondered, how does a man such as himself impress a woman such as Mona, who was already rich? It didn't take Sean long to figure out the answer. The man had to be at least as rich as she was, and he had to possess clout, fame, celebrity. If you didn't have a blue check next to your name on Instagram, in the eyes of Mona, you were as invisible as air. Sean met Mona because she booked a photo shoot on his website. Their first session together was electric. Mona was hyper-photogenic. Whenever there was a camera up in her face, Mona came alive. She transcended. Seduction radiated out of the fiber of her being. Mona revealed just enough skin to rouse the imagination, but never enough to satisfy curiosity. At the end of their first session, Mona left Sean holding a sack of blue balls. The second Sean put down the camera, the sexual energy Mona channeled in his direction evaporated. Sean secretly yearned for the day that Mona would keep that same energy without a camera between them. He would lay up at night toggling through her photos, fantasizing about what it would be like to sleep with her. Sean would later reach out to Mona and volunteer to be part of her team. Every rapper needed to have their own personal cameraman, he reasoned. He volunteered his services free of charge. His proposition was really a guise to be around her on a regular basis. Sean planned to shoot his shot. He subjugated himself to be the lowly man on her totem pole. Sean would follow Mona wherever she went. He snapped photos and made videos of her. Mona didn't mind. Sean orbiting around her satisfied her fantasies of being a star, a superstar. She pictured him as training wheels. Sean was training wheels until she got real paparazzi. One time, Mona had sent Sean away to bring back some food for her to eat. It was during one of her studio sessions. That studio session cost her a lot of money because the producer was industry. Mona does not know how to play a single instrument. Sean accidentally walked in on her knees, blowing the flute. Mona was infuriated with Sean. She called him rude for butting in like that. Mona had forgotten she had sent Sean away for food like an errand boy. When Sean returned with the food, he searched the studio wondering where Mona and the producer disappeared to. Sean found them in the booth together. The producer didn't even bother pulling up his pants. He just stared daggers at Sean until Sean stepped away and the door shut. Mona and the producer finished what they were doing. She was without shame afterwards. It took Sean a month to get over that. He secretly wished that it was his flute that she was blowing. Sean hoped that Mona would eventually realize how great of a man he was, how supportive he was, and then she would suck and fuck him good. The tides would eventually turn for Sean. Him and Mona would have a heart-to-heart. They nearly kissed, but Sean lacked the balls, the gumption, the gonads to see it through. It was during the time where Mona was at peak vulnerability. Mona needed a shoulder to cry on, and Sean was ready and willing to soak up her tears. Mona had released her first album. The album was a certified flop. It went double plywood. Mona's streaming numbers were pathetic compared to her social media following. She had millions of followers and less than 1,000 music streams. A week after her album flopped, Mona took to Instagram Live and went on an angry tirade. She berated and shamed her audience for not supporting her album. The backlash and the hate that Mona received was so intense. It was so overwhelming that Mona emotionally collapsed. She retreated off of social media and took solace on Sean's shoulders. Sean had empathy for her. He understood a truth that Mona could not. It wasn't that her music wasn't any good. Mona just made the mistake of building the wrong audience. Mona thirst trapped too much. Her followers were predominantly men. They weren't following her to hear her music or admire her personality. They were there to see her body and only her body. Mona's entire feed was thirst traps. She would have an easier time converting her audience to OnlyFans than she would converting them to Spotify streams. But Mona was not seeking money. She wanted fame as a musician. In her moment of vulnerability, Mona genuinely appreciated Sean. He was comforting. His support was needed. The two of them had connected on a deeper level, deeper than ever before. Had Sean tried to make a move, she would have went with it. If he kissed her, she would have kissed back. Sean lost the opportunity though because he did nothing. He failed to make his move. He would later beat himself up, thinking about that moment over and over and over and over again. But it was all good because Sean decided to make up for it on Valentine's Day. Sean planned an elaborate photo shoot and afterwards, he planned to make his move. He would finally confess his love to her. Things did not go as planned. Having an overdose was the last thing Sean expected. In hindsight, it was probably the best thing that has happened to him. Sean had been sloppy drunk from simpin. He's sober now. The overdose snapped him out of it. After being released from the hospital, Sean sat alone in the hotel room for the remainder of Valentine's Day. Mona was at Draco Drum's music video shoot, the same Draco Drum that she had ranted on and on and on about earlier in the day. Mona didn't even follow the ambulance to the hospital. She went straight to the set of Draco Drum's music video. Once the paramedics told her that Sean would survive and he would be fine, that's it. That's all she needed. She was off. She was gone. All Sean received from her was a text that said, "Call me when you're out." It seemed so routine to her, as if she overdosed before. As Sean sat on the bed, depressed, with rose petals all around him, he tuned in to Mona's Instagram Live. He watched in disappointment as Mona practically threw herself at Draco Drum's feet. Mona was amongst an ocean of groupies shouting for Draco Drum's attention. Draco Drum didn't even blink twice in Mona's direction. Sean was to Mona as Mona was to Draco Drum. The irony. Sean was too sad to cry as he blocked Mona's number and unfollowed her on social media. He was now a man back on track, a man back on his purpose.